If it's media, it's news to them. Here's good old JR and Comic Book Man.
Just a middle-aged woman's rosary, a bead for each ear, 6 with your name on them.
Media News, episode 78. Time to rotate.
Hey kids, how you doing? Comic Book Man here. Welcome to my video outhouse. It's time once again for...
Oh, media news. Sorry. I leaked out. I was hypnotized by the red light.
Time for media news once again with JR. And of course, media news is coming to you from Alternate Reality, which is located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Alternate Reality, where all new comics are 15% off every day for everyone, including the Iron Man 3 adaptation, or Iron Man 2 adaptation, which is out on the racks. 3 will be coming in a couple of years.
Is there a movie? Is there an adaptation of Iron Man?
Actually, there is. There actually is. Marvel did an adaptation this time around. Wow. They also went backwards and did an adaptation of 1, which they never did in the first place. So the 1 and 2 is now all taken care of.
Great.
But Iron Man 3.
When is the adaptation of Iron Man 3 coming out?
In about 2 years.
Right,
in about 2 years.
Right.
But we have an Iron Man 3 story.
We do.
JR, what's going on with Iron Man 3? There's news already on Iron Man 3.
There is news on Iron Man. Jon Favreau says, and I think this is no big surprise to anybody, that the villain for the third film will most likely be Mandarin.
Gong!
Now, here's the thing about Mandarin. All you Iron Man comic fans, not the movie fans so much, but the comic fans, if you're familiar with the Mandarin.
Ah, yes, the Mandarin.
Yeah. That is why the Mandarin cannot really be done as he appears in the comic.
Why not?
Well, because
we cannot have a Chinese villain?
Well, we can have a Chinese villain, but you don't want to have a Jerry Lewis-esque Chinese villain, do you?
Well, no, you don't want a
Team
America
exactly
villain.
No.
But at the same time, you could do a Chinese villain. I mean, it would seem, I know where you're going to go to with this. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but a Chinese villain, considering the position that America and China currently have in the world stage, wouldn't actually be a bad thing.
No, the film won't play in China, but who cares?
Well, he doesn't have to be a villain, bloodthirsty one that's eating babies or anything.
Well,
I mean, a Chinese villain, considering that we are going to be locking horns with the Chinese over the next 20 years. I'm not talking about a Red Scare villain.
Can we please hire a Caucasian actor and
of course. Well, that's what Hollywood always does.
Dr. No.
When was the last time we had an actual Oriental person to play Charlie Chan?
I have the perfect George Takei. As the Mandarin. George. Oh my. But anyway,
I have 10 rings.
We're off the path here. He probably has 11, but we won't go there. Yeah. But Favreau says he's not going to do the Mandarin as you've seen him in the comic book. And he also,
how is he going to do him?
Well, it's a little bit.
It's going to be a computer voice.
It's a little racist in the comic book, so it'll have to be approached a little differently.
He's Chinese. He's not racist.
But the other part of it with Favreau, and we're getting back to this magic thing again, is the 10 magical rings that you just mentioned a second ago. Favreau said it will have to be most likely some sort of tech, because Favreau's not doing any magical stuff in the Iron Man.
Well,
film.
it's not in the comic. He finds the rings in a crashed alien spaceship. That's the original origin. An alien spaceship's got the 10 rings in them. He puts the rings on. They do all this wonderful stuff because it's alien tech.
And the 10 rings have already been foreshadowed in the first Iron Man film anyway, as being the name of the terrorist organization that's involved in it. So I think it's going to be more likely...
the 10 rings of Al-Qaeda.
It's going to be more in the 7th level of hell.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more grounded in reality, I think, than what comic book fans are expecting. So look for that, and no Thor or anything like that.
They're going to sneak that in before Avengers?
No, probably not. I don't think you're going to see it. To answer the question, if you guys didn't hear it from cameraman, will they sneak it in before Avengers?
JR?
Yeah.
Will they sneak it in before Avengers?
Hey, I'm having deja vu, comic book man. I don't think so. I think you're going to have Avengers first before you have Iron Man 3. All right.
Okay,
moving
on. Staying in the Marvel Universe, Spidey 4.
Spidey 4. Don't call it Spidey 4.
Okay, well, Spidey the next film.
Redux, exactly.
Spidey the next film. What's up with that?
Well, interesting that this story breaks. They're bending over backwards to make a new and improved Spider-Man since the whole debacle with Sam Raimi and everything.
Well, those last 3 really sucked.
But what they've gone and done is hired Alvin Sargent to do some script doctoring on the new film. Alvin Sargent, for those of you who don't know, worked with Sam Raimi in script doctoring Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and he was also hired to do some work on the aborted Spider-Man 4 that Raimi
wasn't he married to Elizabeth Montgomery in Bewitched?
No, that would have been Dick Sargent.
Oh, okay.
All right, go for that. But anyway, Alvin Sargent hired to do this, and according to the screenwriter, the new Spider-Man, the new and improved, younger high school Spider-Man, will
The
be
new and improved one. You know, you're not going to get much better than those first two Spider-Man
Quotes, kids.
movies. I mean, really.
quotes kids more emotionally anchored and realistic.
You mean
You
more
mean like Smallville?
more crying? How much more crying
It'll
gonna
be
be?
more crying and more taking off the man. But that's it. There you go. All right.
Okay, there's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Skip it over a little bit. Remember the Judge Dredd movie with
Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone.
I don't.
Remember that? Oh, it was great. I am the law.
Yeah, took off the mask in the first 5
I
minutes.
am the law.
A character that never took off his mask in the entire run of the comic book.
No, he was off in that movie though.
The first
First
5
five
minutes.
And Rob Schneider was a co-star in it.
He
Rob
was
Schneider was
suppo- yeah, he
co-star
was
in it.
supposed to be the animal sidekick that was from the,
Yeah,
from the comic book. So what do you say about that?
Hey, talk about your racial site,
Yeah,
racial
well,
casting.
you know.
But anyway,
New Judge Dredd.
there's
coming.
another Judge Dredd coming your way,
Yes.
and they're going to lavish it with a $45 million
$1 budget. Yes.
And remember, it's a science fiction thing. It takes place in the future in a dystopian.
Yeah, it's
Earth,
going to
so.
start shooting in the fourth quarter of this year in Johannesburg, of all places.
Johannesburg.
But the one good side
Bet
of
it's
that
cheap there.
is that the screenwriter is Alex Garland, who wrote 28 Days Later
Yeah.
and Sunshine, two very, very good films. So maybe good things can be done on a small budget.
Well, I'm not saying that you couldn't do a Judge Dredd movie on a smaller budget with a really, really good script. I'm not saying that wouldn't be worth going to see. But at the same time, Judge Dredd is supposed to have more scope to it than that. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little more epic. And
You know,
stuff.
if the writer's that good, I'll wait to get some more information.
Probably they're going to have puppets instead of actors. They'll be cut down on the cost.
I'm so lonely. Oh, so lonely.
What else we got there?
Cowboys and Aliens. Cowboys and
Cowboys
Aliens.
and
We've talked about
Aliens.
Cowboys and Aliens before here.
Yes.
And it's still coming your way.
Yeah,
It's
speaking
still
of Jon
coming.
Favreau, that's his next directorial project, and actually
Really?
it starts shooting next month.
Does Marvel know?
I'm sure Marvel knows, but Favreau's got to do other things. But it's another comic book adaptation. We talked about it.
Yeah.
The cast is fattening out. Paul Dano, Clancy Brown is now in it. Keith Carradine is playing the sheriff of the small town.
Yeah.
They join Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford, and Sam Rockwell. This cast is
Wow.
it's a big cast for a little teeny comic book.
For a little teeny tiny comic. Well, there have been a lot of little teeny tiny comics that nobody's cared about that they made into movies that have actually gone places, that have
Exactly.
actually done something with. Hellboy being one of them, in that nobody knew what the hell Hellboy was before the first movie came out outside of this small little universe, and it hit big.
Yeah, and the great thing about a project like Cowboys and Aliens is there's not a lot of preconceived notions about what this character should look like, who this should be, who that should be. So it's just like a clean slate.
Okay,
It's a good thing.
so that's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of
Done.
here.
We're
We've got
tired.
no more comic book media news. And once again, I forgot to
What'd you forget?
To pimp what the title was at the end of the show. So if I'm watching this, taking notes 2 weeks from now before I
Yeah.
put it up, this was an all comic book.
Call yourself a name.
For those
Call
of
yourself a
you,
name.
for those of you
Dumbass.
keeping score at home, this was an all
comic book
Comic book
version
man
of
talking
media
to
news,
himself.
as opposed to a franchise or just a media bites one. Yeah, one of JR's many media bites.
Yes.
Anyway, but you can stop off at the store's website and read more media news that Bocephus, who's not here today, sends me, and the reviews that he sends. By the way, we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Reviews that he sends me.
What I
And
do-
where's the store's website at?
Sarah knows.
She won't
she
tell
does.
you.
No, she's not
gonna
going to tell us. She's tired of telling us.
You know the usual. www.myalternatereality.com.
So stop off at the store's website, check out all of his reviews and all of Bo's media news, and until next time, this is Comic Book Man
And it's JR.
saying, bye! This month's Hero of the Month sale at Alternate Reality is...
I am Iron Man.
and War Machine and Natasha Romanoff. I hear there's a movie coming out for the three of them. Anyway, if you stop down at the store all this month, 25% off all of my Iron Man trades, all my War Machine trades, all my Natasha Romanoff trades, whether they're Masterworks, whether they're soft covers, whether they're hardcovers, every trade I've got in the store, 25% off all month long. Now, some of you might be wondering, who's Natasha Romanoff? I saw her in the movie, but who is she? Black Widow. 25% off all month long here at Alternate Reality.